Welcome to the In Search of More podcast. I am your host, Ellie Nash. Join me weekly on my quest for more from myself and more from this world. We'll see you on the other side. All right, welcome. I'm sitting here with Kosha Dillz.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the name. Where does this name come from, Kosha Dillz?
Kosha Dillz. In small terms, it's the Jewish rapper, if you don't know anything about me. And that would be like your first intro. My first name's Rami. Ram Matan Evanesh.
Cool.
Pretty Israeli name.
Yeah.
My original nickname.
Evanesh, Stone of Fire?
Evanesh, Firestone, yeah.
Firestone, okay.
After the tire company, yeah.
Cool.
But it's, I really, I think it would have been Firestein. I'm not sure,
Right.
So Ramatan Evanesh, growing up, people...
Oh, Liechtenstein would be the same thing as...
Liechtenstein? I don't know.
Licht is for fire, is light.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Lahad Lichner. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so your name is Rami...
Matan Evanesh. Yeah, it was supposed to be Rami, like Daniel, Danny. That's how I sort of explain it. I grew up as Ram Matan, so people used to call me Ramadan. And it's just funny because I became this Jewish figure, Israeli-American rapper figure. My first name was Ramadan. People nicknamed me Islam, Ramadan. Like, I ran and just
Right,
funny.
yeah.
I mean, we were like 12, 13, 14, 15, in high school before I was even rapping. And I became Kosha Dillz, and I was rapping with a guy named Yak Balls. Yak Balls is like the best rapper. So, it's sexual innuendos, is it euphemism? Not euphemism. Euphemisms, like Yak Balls, Kosha Dillz, and I'm like, it became Yak Balls, Kosha Dillz. But because the first time I went on stage, people made fun of me. They're like, Kosha Dillz, like Kosha Dillz Pickles. I was like, I got to drop this name immediately. This is not cool.
Where'd you grow up?
Jersey, Edison,
cool.
New Jersey.
Got it.
Home to Gary Vaynerchuk, Thomas Edison. The light bulb and the hustle, and many great diners on Route 1. The Route 1 flea market, Edison, New Jersey. Backwards, it spells no side. I always thought that was cool.
That's cool.
So
you're saying you were doing these battles in 2000?
Yeah, just as KD Flow, And when, I was within addiction, drug selling, that was my life, I would say 2000 to 2004. And when I got sober, the first time I introduced myself on stage as Kosha Dillz, from what I remember, was on stage with Modest Yahoo, December 25th, 2004, BB King's. And, people were like, Kosha Dillz, like the Orthodox way of saying kosher is
Right.
kosher, Kosha Dillz. And, I was just Kosha Dillz, just put the A on it, put the Z on it, and that was it, and it was just my rap name. And that's what I've been with ever since.
I came across you a few years ago. I think the first video I saw of you was rapping in front of 770, or the building directly across from 770, the Jewish Museum.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, by the dreidel.
Yeah, exactly.
The 15-foot dreidel out there outside the Kids Museum, right across from
Right.
770, next to Chocolate.
Yes.
And I was always doing rap videos there, just like freestyle rap videos and stuff. And I shot a music video there. Was I there with Nassim Black, or did I do the Hanukkah? I don't think I did it there, but I did do the Kanye diss record. That was the other year. Shot it over there. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good place to rap.
Post-COVID.
Yeah, it's a fun place to rap.
Yeah.
You do like Rosh Hashanah, you're just in a neighborhood and just do a real freestyle. I do a lot of street videos.
Right.
Street videos, rapping outside. I've kind of travel faster than the speed of light, Instagram, TikTok.
Is there a way to monetize the Instagram stuff that you do?
No, I think you could run ads on your Instagram. Like there's an ad revenue.
Or for you, it's just a way to share and get out.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a video that had like millions and millions of views, and it got like $50.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's cool, but it's nice to get a couple pennies here and there, I believe in saving it all, man. Why not? It's nice,
I hear you. So bring us back to 2004. You said you got sober in 2004. What prompted that?
So I really tried to get sober. I mean, I started getting arrested in like 2000.
How old are you talking? When
42.
You're 42 now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I got
so back then
sober
you're
at
talking
22, turning 23.
Got it. Okay.
Right, so I'm coming up on my 20th year sober.
Neat.
I went to, counseling, more counseling, getting arrested, going to more counseling, getting arrested, doing time, not going to counseling, just selling drugs and drinking, not just doing drugs and not drinking, just selling and drinking.
Right.
And I tried get a girlfriend. And after the girlfriend, all that, then I remember the last months.
What was your drug of choice?
Cocaine, ecstasy. I was a big upper guy.
Got it.
And just a lifestyle. I really loved the lifestyle that sort of drug addiction brought.
Right.
Alcohol, just being out, being a dealer, being the center of attention, having some sort of power. And I needed that power because I had lacked so much faith in my own. I was so afraid of being me that's who I was,
Right.
I needed to be the center of attention. By that, if you have something that someone else wants, people will come to you,
And at that time was drugs.
At that time, it was drugs. Yep. And what I've learned throughout the almost 20 years being sober is that, you really don't need to have attention. You need to pay attention to yourself, you need to give yourself attention. But like I was set up in a sting operation at school and I was trying to sell something and I started running from the police and I sort of had this God shot where the police, like I threw a bag and I had all these drugs on me and I was running away from an undercover cop into the school, like back into class thinking I would take the test, which is just delusional, right? You think you're going to you're set up and you're going to run back into class and you're going to be like, I'll just finish the test, It's like when you get a parking ticket or something, you're like, I'll move the car. I'll swear to God. The guy's like, it's not the point. Like we're towing you right now. You know what I mean? So it's funny how that just happened. And I remember I had a massive amount of drugs on me and I was in handcuffs and no one thought I would just have drugs on me because I threw the drugs away already, but I was so obsessed with drugs at the time that I kept a larger amount of drugs on me and I threw a small amount of drugs away. So I got it out of my pocket in my handcuffs and then it dropped in front of a bunch of students and it just never turned up on the discovery. And I just felt like I was like some shot from God that was like, yo, dude, you have a clear path opportunity. You're like really at the bottom right now, but you will eventually come up. You know what I mean?
You're saying none of it showed up on the report?
No, like I got like 6 charges, I think, on this one. I got 6 charges, and I was like waiting to see the over ½ ounce of cocaine, which would have been like second degree. So it would have been like, and I'm like on probation at the time, and I just finished parole and from the last time, and this was for sure, like it was over, right? For sure.
Right.
And and it was over for using, but I thought I was for sure going to go away and do time, and I just ended up not doing time. I just went to meetings, was an inpatient, went to 3-quarter houses. I voluntarily put myself into things that a lot of people get sentenced to. Like you could get time and then halfway house and stuff like that. So yeah, man, that was my journey. July 30th, 2004.
Neat. And you said in your case you did it through rehab and meetings.
Yeah, rehab. There was a thing called Oxford houses where people go and you get drug tested, you live there, you have curfews, and you sort of just become productive members of society. And basically everyone's on parole or probation and everyone's in the 12-step world,
right.
At that time, you're just kind of really navigating it and counseling, and then you go with all these sheets to the lawyer, and you're like, yo, dude, show it to the judge, and this is what I've been doing. Or like, they might not give you as much time, or they'll add you another 5 years probation, et cetera. And because they didn't find that large amount of drugs, I just didn't get, if they found that, I would for sure done time.
Right.
But they didn't find that, so they only found small amounts.
So you took that as what? When you say God shot, what was the...
I mean, God shot meaning like,
I just know what you mean by
serendipitous,
yeah.
I mean? It's just set up for me to have,
And therefore what?
To have an opportunity to start my life over,
Got it.
And live sober. And
Is that a part of your identity today? Like a lot of people who get sober, it's almost the first part of their identity is I am a recovered addict. Is that the case with you?
Yeah, it's basically part of my core, being a Jew and being sober,
Gotcha.
It's
That's
like
cool.
being Israeli. I mean, I don't know. It's like something I identify with because all the opportunities I have, like I'm here because I'm sober. I would never have met you.
Right.
All the things come from the basis of me not getting high every single day. I mean, I got high almost every single day for like 4 years.
Right. And it still lives with you today, like a beating heart.
Yeah, because like now, I mean, just the amount of problems I've probably had and trauma I have that I got high to solve those issues.
Right.
Now I have the opportunity to work on all the trauma. And it was just like uncovering so much sort of generational stuff that I've just kind of sort of had and things that I'm still discovering to this day.
Awesome.
Figure,
Okay.
it gives
that's
me
cool.
chills even thinking of it.
Well, it's cool. In recovery, these lines they got in the meetings. So one of the ones that stuck with me was the first thing you put in front of your recovery is the first thing you're going to lose.
Sure, I agree with it. So for instance, let's say you have a relationship and you're like, I need to give this relationship more attention, more attention, more attention. In fact, I'm giving it so much attention, now it's under a microscope. And now every little thing I'm looking at it, this, that. And then you're like, stop going to meetings. It's like, I need to spend more time. I mean, this, because, the more time is better. It's more and more and more and more and more.
Right.
Next thing you know, all this more and more, whatever happened to like, a strong hour or two, You don't want to go on a date with someone for 10 hours. You want to go, hour and a half, 2 hours. And like, those are the examples. And then a person's like, you're a little bit too much, And then you're realizing how obsessive and compulsive you are, and the obsessions turn into compulsions. Like, I really got back into my recovery this past year, and I was out of it surely during the pandemic years of like 2020, 2021, 2022.
When you say out of it, what do you mean by that?
I mean, there was only Zoom meetings.
Right.
And,
So you're still sober, but you're...
Yeah, it's dry.
stepping, right.
You just feel like dry. You're not watering the plants.
Right.
Cactus is existing, it's there, but you gotta really tend to the garden,
Mm-hmm.
For me, that consists of me caring about new people that are coming in, being hope to them, checking in on them, being just a member of a community that doesn't have any gives and takes or wants anything. Like, I could have a relationship with you, and that's it. There's no... Imagine that. We don't have to support each other on Instagram. We could just talk to each other and hang out sometimes and enjoy each other's company.
They cannot even know your last name.
Yeah, just chill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a really cool thing about recovery. And it's something the world has kind of lost. You're like, hey, I just care about you and success of you, and not really interested in all the other bullshit that comes out with your extracurricular activities. Because really none of all our business, in that world.
Yeah, when I started going to meetings, it was an adjustment for me where he would call and check how I was doing. And I'm like, okay, where's the ask? Like,
You didn't ask for anything.
like,
But
is
yeah,
there a
people
request
generally
at the end?
caring.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
kind of part of like a caring community. Like, you good? What's up? I haven't seen you in a day or two.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just checking in,
Hey, what are you up to?
And it's not weird.
No, it's...
And if it is weird, it's weird because it's not normal to even do that, because we're so used to being like, hey, I'm calling you up. How you doing? So by the way, I wanted to ask you for something. You know what I mean? That's
100%.
Good.
No, that's the way it is. It'll almost be awkward not to. If I'm thinking, I don't have a relationship in my life. I didn't have a relationship in my life that would have called, not even a family member would have called. Like, it wasn't common where I grew up at all. Hey, I'm just checking in, see how you're doing. It's like there's an ask, there's a reason for that phone call. Recovery was the first time I experienced something differently. When I started going to meetings, there was just like a little house in Miami Beach that was like a meeting house. Like, man, like the walls are like kind of broken down and the chairs are old. Like, maybe I can, help out. It was the only way I knew to show appreciation was to put money behind something. So I'm like, hey, how do I give a donation to the center? I'm like, well, you can put money in the basket, that goes around. I'm like, yeah, it's like,
right.
like it's $3, but how do you give something so they can maybe fix the rooms and stuff?
I want to make a donation to the building. You're like, I just
Yeah,
keep
there was
back.
no one there. No one called me back. There was no one.
Yeah,
I'm like, wow,
exactly. And that's the thing, it's just, we've lost the ability to be part, just society. I'm not saying we, as but I mean, but in general, it's particularly hard, at least in the Jewish community, I would say, especially people that may have been religious or, formerly religious, or they're like coming from this different society and then now being into another community where, you have your traditions and then there's traditions to 12-step.
Yes.
And we don't bring in these outside issues, press, media.
I know, it's
all
wild.
your money. We don't care how much money you have at these places. It doesn't matter if you're a multi-millionaire or you're on unemployment and you're on Social Security and you're broke and you're barely paying rent. You know what I mean? Just keep coming, be a good person, show up, do the best you can, help somebody else who's suffering.
Yeah, it is wild. I've wondered how more of that. I think this podcast kind of started as a response to that. Like, how can more of some flavor in the meetings like be brought to the world?
Right. Well, I mean, you learn things within the rooms of 12-step. And there's so many different 12 steps. There's stuff for, alcohol, drugs, obviously. There's stuff for gambling, sex, there's debting. There's this huge thing, huge community. And 12 steps are based on, like, you take these things that you learn here and you bring them to the real world and you try to live a meaningful life, operate in your daily activities, Like, for instance, I'm currently, like, saving up. I'm like, I really want to buy, like, property, I want to, like, grow up and just get this property, for whatever thing is, but...
Like an investment property, a home to live in?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it would be investment, just paying it, and be like a dream, just off this music.
Same for you to live in?
Yeah.
Oh, a place for you to live in, okay, yeah.
But either or, like, it could be anything, but for me specifically, yes. And then you're on the train in New York, and then you see an opportunity to, like, skip the $2.90, and you're feeling bad about yourself, so you're like, ooh, whoop. You save $2.90. Why not? Like, door was open. And the reality is, it's like you start thinking and afraid of money, and all your fears are coming out. Like, how could you buy a house and you're like trying to skimp out the city over $3? You could say whatever you want, but like, I've definitely been like, I'm not paying for parking. I'm not paying this $20. I should park here for free. When it goes down, the last person, I'm gonna tail his car and steal $20 from this. Well, who's here? It's my rebellion, right? And it's really just like me living in fear of, like, not having faith that something is going to take care of me. Meanwhile, whatever you say, believe in God or whatever, but God definitely was like, Rami, I'm going to take you out of your addiction, all this, and you're going to get this opportunity. You're going to drop all your drugs, and someone's going to pick it up, and the police aren't going to find it, and you're not going to go to prison for an extended amount of time. Because I already did time before that.
Right.
On a first offense, and it's like, oh, this time, dude, I'm in a sting operation, like I'm being set up. That time I was like a fluke, and I think to myself, well, if God has shown up to me in other areas of my life, right, or this higher power, this higher being, where why wouldn't He, like, do you think at the end of time, my fears of money really, it's like really good. It's going to destroy me. And I realized, like, even just from the stealing at the subway, which the other day I had an opportunity to, and I'm like, I'm going to pay. For me, it's for me thing. I don't. Yeah. For other people, they don't have the same issues as me, but I know it is. I've definitely ruined a lot of relationships in my life. Like earlier in my musical career, where I was like so nervous, I was like not getting paid for the show. I'm going out to these places in the Midwest, like I know where to sleep, and I'm like, there's a big line waiting for that artist that let me rap on their show, but because I'm so afraid of life and of this and being broke, I'm gonna go in their line and then start selling stuff to them. So they buy merchandise from me, and by the time they get to the person that they wanted to go buy the merch from, they have less money to spend with them because they bought it from me in line, right? So he's waiting in line for you, and I'm like, oh yeah, man, yeah, I'm with Ellie, and I'm with Tyler, and now you resent me because you're like, what's wrong with this guy? Just left his area to come into my area to sell all this stuff. Why do you do that? It's so odd, and it's not. And I thought it was like normal, So I was like learning like this is just a way to operate in life, is to operate based out of fear. But like,
that's one of the 12 promises in recovery, right? Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're fearful. We're afraid of things, in life. Yeah, I'm definitely afraid of a lot of stuff, but to go through with the fear. Now we have some, and the fear transforms itself. Now I realize I'm like, okay, if I know my intentions, and if I know things, I'm like, all right, then I don't have to be afraid. I know I'm doing I know what I'm doing, and I could always work on communication. And now a big thing for me is like how I communicate with people, and that's another.
Can you say more about that?
Yeah, I'd say like even a lot of people that I've sort of tried to make amends with in sort of previous areas of my life. I've realized that my communication problems arise from my own family's lack of communication. And I think a lot of relationships in general, die because of lack of communication. And we're afraid of being open and honest with people because we're going to be left hanging. We're not going to die, though, you know what I mean? But many people do die because of lack of communication, you know what I mean? Like the world's issues.
So what do you think that fear is? Because I definitely experience that. I mean, you see it all the time where people will, talk about their boss with their wife and talk about their wife with their coworker, you know what I mean? Like that.
Talk about their boss with their wife and talk about their wife with their coworkers.
Yeah, as opposed
to never
to
talk about their wife with their wife.
Exactly. Like let me
never talk about their husband with their husband.
Exactly.
That's powerful. Talking about a lot of people talk about their problems with someone with other people.
Right. So what do you think that's about? Where we have trouble communicating?
Fear.
So
let it on a table.
Fear of what? The fear of what?
Fear of rejection, embarrassment, destroying our ego, destroying our confidence. The possible ending a relationship might be the best thing for a successful relationship with this person. This could be a boss, partner,
right. It's like a fear of almost being left alone or being alone.
Yeah, dude, we don't want to be alone. I don't want to be alone.
It's interesting we talk about fear because, like, most recently, right, you're becoming known for these videos around Israel, and there is a fearless quality to what it looks like you're doing. A lot of people who share your views, which are very pro-Israel, would feel intimidated to, step in a protest from the other side, ask questions, challenge viewpoints. So there does seem to be a fearless quality to it. Do you know what I'm talking about, or you don't identify with that at all?
Yeah. I mean, you go there to the rallies and people don't want to talk to you. So now, and you're sort of a sitting duck. I just will tell you my experience with it, and I think that's probably the best way to do it. There are a lot of the videos that we've seen coming out, at least in the Israel-Palestine conflict. It's even hard to say Israel-Palestine conflict. That almost seems polarizing already, right, before you do it. And I like to say both, right, because they both exist here, right? There's people marching for both people. They are not only polarizing, but it just kind of caters to your base. So a lot of people ask me sometimes, hey, do you think you ever change anyone's minds? I was like, I don't think I ever change anyone's minds. I think I become more stalwart in what I'm doing. I think that's the way. I think I'm more firm in my stance. And also I empower other people, and I get to speak for other people that don't have the opportunity to speak, right? When I go to them recently, I marched with them because I wanted to ask everyone questions on the march. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, if you're not going to beat me down with baseball bats and destroy and bloody up my nose and break every bone in my body, I have no problem being in a arena with you. And if you're not going to do that, then I'm going to hang out. You know what I'm saying?
But how do you know that's not going to happen? That's like speaking to the fearless quality.
If you're fearless, I don't think, if you are afraid that it might happen, then maybe it will. But what am I doing to do that? I'm not actually coming to provoke anybody. I'm coming to ask some questions. I'm coming to speak and do a creative way of interacting with people that hasn't been done before and haven't been seen, because I know what I do see. And I do know, as a consumer of media, I love to watch videos and then I get tired of them, right? For instance, I saw a friend of mine say, we're Floridians because we wake up and we live next to an alligator. Oh no, we're Floridians. I mean, we never go to Disney World. You see those videos? It's like the thing. Or, we're Jewish. We're this. We're Muslim girls. We're this. We're motorcycle owners. We have got a Harley Davidson and a Kawasaki. We're like, okay, I'm tired of these videos. Let me go make something. Let me go make something that I'm gonna make. And my last experience was people are just afraid, right? People are afraid, so afraid of each other. So I said, there are a bunch of dogs, and I don't know how I feel about people like dressing up their animals for a country or dressing up their children for a country. The kids that really have no choice, right? Because they're just kids. They're with their parents. And, I'm there and I'm like asking people, I'm like, no, what about a dog park for Israeli and Palestinian dogs? And the humans don't talk to each other, but the dogs do. And everyone's like, oh, that's fine. Trying to figure out ways to break ice. And as a street performer, like I've been rapping on the street, Muslims, Jews, Black people, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Irish, French, Algerian, Tunisian, Turkish, Iraqi, Saudi Arabian, Dubai, Lebanese, people from all over the world like to be rapped about. So I've met so many different people and I've seen how people let their guard down. And for me, I'm like, I'm going to go down there and just try to have some stuff happen. And I'm just not afraid of it. Like,
right, saying this is a lot of what you've been doing for a while. Just
I've been doing it.
people.
I've been a street person for many years, right? Like used to sell CDs on the street. So if you could sell a CD to somebody on the street, you could easily have a conversation with somebody on the street and document it. And that's, the world we live in. And I'm honestly like, if this is going to make me a hero by going out, I would love to be a hero. I think that would be an awesome title to have. So sure, like I'll go out and I'll do it, and people really seem to like it. And I also like the creativity behind some of this, because some of the stuff is wacky, what's happening out there. So I just think it's fun to do.
Do you have a goal in doing these videos and putting stuff out there?
I think the goal is to have conversation. And make a video and like make some cool art and out of it and get some cool hopeful messages. I think we don't have a control really over our militaries, I think, and the world. I mean, as much as people think our votes count and this, that, I'm okay with like just accepting the fact that, I'm just another number in there. But what I do have control over is that although my vote only counts as one vote, my video could count as 10 million. You know what I mean? And I've seen that happen by just asking simple questions that everyone can't seem to gather. And it helps other people get through their day, including hostage families that have seen my videos. And, I always loved Borat. I loved how he would go out and ask video, he would do Throw the Jew Down the Well. And,
right.
and everyone's singing along, like,
Yeah.
Like it's kind of fun to sing Throw the Jew Down the Well in a sense. But his reality is the fact that people are singing it is insane.
Right, and it taught a powerful lesson.
So it's taught a powerful lesson. So I want to say something without saying it. And by being somewhere, you're saying something without saying it, even though you might not know what you're going to say. That sounds a little complicated.
Do you have a few favorite videos? Specifically on the conflict.
Of mine or other people's videos?
Yours. Like stuff you've done that is like, hey, I hit the spot with that one. That's what I was going for.
When's this thing going to come out? Because I got some new ones. I don't know. Who knows? Well, I know I know a big one was, my first one I ever did was a French lady. She's a little woman in red outside Columbia University. Mm-hmm. And I asked her, what would you do if your kids were hostage? And I think this is a valid question for any woman or any mother that is protesting against Israel.
Yeah, it's a good question.
It's a solid question. Do you have children? Okay, you hate Israel? Fine. If you were in a kibbutz and you were working with Gazans, because you hate Israel so much, you're trying to help all the Gazans, like Vivian Silver, what would you do when your kids were kidnapped? Just want to know what you would do so I could take that in consideration when I become a parent. You know what I mean? And just, like it's a serious thing, but it's also like kind of crazy. Like the other day.
And how'd you respond?
She goes, I would do everything in my power to get them back.
Right.
Say it without saying it.
Right,
I didn't have to say it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I asked a woman the other day, and I know I'll put this video out. She goes, she had a sign that said, 4,000 Palestinians were killed, and then she had to update it to 9,000, and then she updated it to 17,000. I said, this is horrible. And she goes, she goes, yeah, what about the American kids and the Palestinian kids? I said, yeah, save the kids. What about the Israeli kids? And she goes, what about them? Say something without saying it.
Right.
What
was she saying about the American kids? I didn't follow that.
Well, she's just getting worked up. I don't know. I don't even release the video yet. But I was filming the other day, and I thought, what about the Israeli kids? You know what I mean? So
right, like her response of what about him? She like kind of showed her.
Yeah.
Right, discard like they don't matter.
Now you asked me a similar question. I got Reform Jews and conservative Jews, and what about the Orthodox Jews? What about them?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? They're not Jewish. You know what I mean? But could you live that throughout the whole, the whole thing? I mean, I went with, I brought a Holocaust survivor on Holocaust Remembrance Day to a rally. And I said, I think this would be positive for you to meet somebody. He didn't really want to do it, and I forced him to do it because I think it's important. And we just live in a world where.
So to meet someone at a Palestinian rally.
Yeah, I think people.
Okay, and what happened with that? Yeah, that's interesting.
We met the new Terry Carter.
Who's Terry Carter?
Who's Terry Carter? I don't know.
Sorry.
The Nuteri, is it Nuteri Carter? Nuteri Carter?
Oh,
How do you pronounce it? Nuteri Carter.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the anti-Zionist
right.
Jews.
Yes.
Fringe group.
I don't know why I
But who's Terry? That's funny.
Yeah, the way you pronounce it, just I lost the Nuteri Carta.
Nuteri Carter, yeah.
Okay, so you met some of the guys from this group.
Yes.
So these are the ultra-Orthodox anti-Zionist.
Yes, anti-Israel. Let's not say even anti-Israel. Because I would say Satmar is also anti-Zionist, but they don't agree with. They think Nuteri Carter is crazy.
Right, exactly.
They're just anti-Zionist because of their religion. That's why they say Eretz Yisrael instead of Israel, and
right. But they'll live in Israel. And
they'll live in Israel and stuff like that too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they just don't agree with the secular leadership of Israel.
Yes.
Right. Nuteri Carta.
Nuteri Carter wants everything disbanded. I mean, that's the thing. They're meeting with Iran and the leaders of Iran.
I know. I wonder what these guys want every Jew to die. I'm not sure of their
exactly
their position.
So just setting that up, like I'm just trying to see, like there's not even much video of them at all.
She said you filmed something with them, or you meeting them?
And the guy, I mean, that I don't really know what will happen of that, but like there needs to be moving forward. There's a very Israel economy. There's a Palestine economy, right? Especially in the terms of media, right wing, left wing, centrist, etc. Right? There's no coexistence economy. And the thing is, as a musician and a comic and someone who's been rejected time and time and time and time again, I mean, I get no's most of the day, and what does it look like if we actually live together? And I spoke earlier before. We were like, well, that's not profitable. It's not enough clicks. There's no clicks. If we all got together and got along, there's no clicks in that. There's no meat, you know what I mean? There's no divisiveness. If there's no divisiveness, how are you going to make money? And people love to be divided, right? And just even our own. We like to be with our own crew. Like we have Shabbat.
You don't feel like there's enough people who agree with that? Who agree with coexistence? I think people have lost hope. I mean, there were many people who...
Yeah. I mean, literally, Israel,
I'd love to sit down...
Israel's national anthem is Hatikva, the hope.
Right, exactly. The hope of hope. But I'd love to sit down with, let's say, a lot of these people who, October 7th, who were in those kibbutzim, which were very left-wing and, pro... like, a lot of them had Gazans work in their home, et cetera, like you mentioned. And has their hope shifted in that way? Meaning, did what happened change their mind? Do you know the answer to...
No, it definitely did, because I have tons of liberal friends in Israel that have been marching against Netanyahu for nearly a year. And people in America think that's deranged, that they're not. In fact, they wouldn't even know other leaders that are even eligible for victory in other political parties of Israel. They are
Right.
like, think they care about the government, but they really don't know much about the government. I mean, you know, to name all the political candidates and parties of Israel that run, that could be, you know, a leader, everyone would have the same stance for Israel, like
this
defend Israel. It's
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Even the Arab parties, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, the main thing that I've learned by making the videos is, sure, you know, I love to have a video where someone is just dumb, right? Because it's just funny, and I love funny because I'm a comic and I search for comedy,
Right.
and I love it. I mean, there's this one video where the girl, she's like, well, Jews should go back to where they have their second citizenship from. And I was like, oh, like Yemen? And I just said, she was, oh yeah, Yemen. I'm like, Turkey, you know, yeah. Euro, yeah. And then not everyone has second citizenship in Israel. In fact, most people I know are just Israeli citizens.
Right.
Right. I'm a dual citizen because I was the first one that was born out of my brothers and my parents that was born in America. So someone has two passports, right? And that's a unique situation. The majority of the world is not like that. But also, no one knows the story that Yemen kicked out all the Jews and Iraq kicked out all the Jews and stole everything from the people. And there have been no reparations. And these Iraqi Jews went on to live flourishing lives, ideally. I'm sure people haven't. People get up, and Iranian Jews, you think Iranian Jews left and said, here's all your jewelry and here's all your stuff. And
Right.
This girl didn't know. And then the whole internet just said, like, you know, woman doesn't know anything. And she was like on the cover of Snapchat. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember talking to this person, and she was like a really cute, attractive girl at the DC Israel Palestine rally. And I thought about that. And I'm like, damn, like, it sucks because she made herself look so dumb on some level. But also, you should be, if you're at these things, you should be willing to stand on what you're saying.
Right. What's the reason?
And understand that there's other people whose lives are at risk. Like, when I went to Black Lives Matter rally, I went and I never got in a picture. I only documented it because I felt that I wasn't a righteous warrior of this movement, but I was an ally of it, and I didn't want to be like, I'm here, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to, you know what I'm saying, support it, because, you know, I'm a hip-hop artist and make money off black culture. Like, hip-hop wasn't started by, you know, some random plebeians. Yeah, it wasn't started by the Jewish world, you know. Hip-hop started in a park. It's a black entertainment industry. It's like, and I'm part of it. You know what I mean? I found my place in it, you know, and I've been rapping for 2 decades.
So what was your point there? Meaning you wouldn't...
The thing is, if you're going to these rallies, this is a war between Israel, Palestine, and a world that hates Jews. If you're a random person just chilling by and want to be part of the hype, and it's like the new trend, this is much different than another trend, even though you'll see people trying to relate it to other domestic movements, such as BLM or things of that nature.
You see this as different?
It's a very different thing.
Because of what?
Because it's a war that is going on outside of America, but it transfers to the rest of the world from a very small place, meaning that anti-Semitism is all over, and it's a disease that is permeated through every different way, and someone who's not Jewish is not going to understand it. So if you're just a person that's a white girl from Ohio, and you're just like, I'm just Palestine, and y'all da-da-da-da-da, and I studied it, I took a class on it for a semester, and I know.
So you want to go to a rally and call them out on that?
I'm not saying I'm going to call them out. I want to ask people questions of why
Meaning
they're
call
there.
them out if they don't have their facts. Like, hey,
I'm going to keep asking them questions, and I'm going to make a video of it. I'm not actually here to call out anybody. I'm here literally like documenting history right now. So what I learned is everyone thinks they know everything, right? Which is fine, but this is just a fact. Everyone thinks they know everything. And not only do they think they know everything, they're unwilling to hear anything else besides what they know. So I heard this statement, and it's that, you know, we figure facts will change your opinions, but opinions become so strong that they become facts.
Exactly.
And I think that's really interesting. So that's why in relationships, especially romantic relationships, somebody's like, you're not doing this, right? You never did this, and, instead of talking with their spouse or whoever, they're going to talk to their friends about it. He always says this and this, and this is, this is what they believe. And the other person's like, well, that's not the case. You know what I mean? Right. And essentially this is like an extension of that. So this girl that I was talking to, I mean, she literally thinks Jews could go back to Yemen when we would get killed in Yemen. And you know what I'm saying? And now people are like showing solidarity with Yemen who aren't from Yemen. They're making these flags while the Houthis are responsible for destroying a lot of Yemen. So we see this continuously happen. And I make a video and it's like one guy, he's like, I'm putting up a poster and he goes, I'm like, it's from the hostages. And he's like, these people killed thousands of kids, bro. And I'm like, okay. And you look at the poster, and it's someone who was kidnapped.
Right.
So I don't really correlate whatever, but because he's caught up in what he's caught up in, this is how he feels. And I'm going to document that. And it's also like, it's kind of ridiculous, right? So it angers me on some level. But also at some point, it's like, you ever see the Pamplona running with the bulls in Spain?
Sure, yeah.
You try to run against the bulls, and I'm just like running with the bulls, man. This is what's happening, and I'm just gonna like entertain some of my friends and give you guys some solace while I do it.
When you film that's your content to use. Like that's cool, no matter who it is on the street you talk to in that conversation.
Yeah, I don't care.
Right.
Like, if someone says like I don't want to be in anything, I'm like, okay, then just. Don't be in it. Don't talk to me. But people are talking to me. I'm not forcing anyone to talk to me. Everyone knows it says Kosha Dillz. It says Kosha Dillz. Here's my Instagram. This is where it's going to go up. You got
a big camera in people's face.
Yeah. No, not even. We're just filming. It's like, yeah, I'm filming. Of course, I'm filming. I have a little mic in my hand. It's like clear as day. I don't really like the people that say, and I don't think this is good for both communities. I went undercover in a rally and this is what happened, right? I want to say, hi, I'm Kosha Dillz. I love Israel. I am a starch pro-Israel motherfucker. And I'm here at a Palestine rally, and we're going to have some fun. You know what I'm saying? We're going to ask some questions, and that's it.
I want to go back to what you were saying earlier about the coexistence piece. You were saying that you don't feel like there's a lot of people in that camp, but you're in that camp.
No, it doesn't exist. There's no coexistence economy. Like, you see how...
Well, there are a lot of people who wanted to work out. That's why I was bringing up the groups who were on the board.
Let me rephrase that. There's no coexistence economy as far as creative and media.
Oh, like that.
And anything. And I mean economy, not that I'm making money or something like that, but it's like I make the videos and everyone's like, we love your videos. We want you to play our synagogue or for our Israel Day fundraiser or something. I'm like, okay, sick. That was tight. You want me to come through? Like people are giving me opportunity because they love that I'm Israeli. Right. I've been proud of it. I honestly think if I was Palestinian and I just happened to live a different life, I was born in a different soul to a different mom, I would probably be that. If I was Mexican, I would be like, yo, you know what I'm saying? If I was Italian, I would be like the Italian guy.
So you don't see it as a right and wrong. You just see it as I'm going for my team.
I'm going for my team, yeah. And I'm on my team because this is who I am, right? I think there is right and wrong. I don't want to be misquoted of that. And I think honestly, if I was I do think of that sometimes. If I was on the opposite side, I would be very pro peace. I love that dude, Bassem. There's a guy that I follow, and he's like, yeah, we got to clean up our leadership. But it's easier said than done. I don't know what it's like to experience not being able to speak out against your own government, right? I don't know what it's 100%. Like to live under that.
Yeah, but those are the actions. It's different than the perspective someone may take, right? Maybe someone may think a certain thing, but they may be afraid of Hamas and not think much of them, but they may not talk out against them because...
Right, because a lot of people just exhausted, dude. You're like, I got to be honest with you. When I went to go to those rallies and everyone's like, keep doing them. I'm like, dude, you know how much it costs to organize and pay for things to do for no reason at all? just to satisfy. And then, I post something that's about coexistence and they're like, they're scams. It's a JVP thing. And like, I'm not doing this for you. I told myself when this
So you get
conflict
criticism
happened.
from both sides.
Yeah. I'm creating because I'm a creator and I'm going to create my way through this situation. I made a song. Now I'm making videos. I'm doing writing. I'm creating. That's my job. If you don't want to look at it, you don't have to. But many people are just comfortable being in their own thing and never doing anything else. Like, and including my family members. It's like, and many great friends. And I'm like,
Let me do something here.
I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop my head out at the end of it. I'm going to learn more about being Jewish. I'm going to learn more about Palestinians. And that's all I could do.
Did you learn anything about the other side and the other side's position through this process? Anything that surprised you?
When I was filming in Israel, we had a great thing. I did it in Hebrew. I interviewed a guy in Jaffa about coming together, and he's like, Yalla, kol b'yachad. And I'm like, this is gonna be sick. Like, one, I'm doing an interview with an Arab dude in Hebrew, and I'm like, my Hebrew's getting great, My Hebrew's I'm really proud of that. And then the guy goes, I don't want it. I can't have this out. I cannot have this out. And in my mind, my selfish part of me is like, no, use it. Use the interview. But the other guy goes, if a guy doesn't want to be it, he can't have his face out there, then he's literally going to lose faith forever if you violate that trust, right?
Right.
So somewhere along the lines, people have been violated so much by the other side that they're just like, I don't believe anything you say.
So you're saying this is
So
something
that's why
you
we go
learned
back
from-
to the opinions are so strong that they
Right.
become facts versus the fact. And the fact is, I tell you guys, I'm Kosha Dillz. What's up? I'm a rapper. I live in New York. You could literally look me up in a second. I don't know who you are. You have a mask, you're this, whatever. So,
Right. So I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying that what you learned from the other side was that there are some opinions that you may disagree with, or not even disagree with. You may have proof that it's not true, but you're seeing
they still don't believe you.
Right. How did they get there? So, okay, so what's the way out? Meaning if someone's believing a lie and you can barely talk to them long enough to talk them out of it, then this is why some get skeptical about a possibility of coexistence.
Yes. Existence it's guaranteed. We're both going to exist.
Sure.
But this is why there's two different worlds. I mean, this guy told me
Well, when people are talking about coexistence, they're talking about some
level of...
Not that there's people living in Gaza with a 4 foot, a 4 mile wide security border. Mm-hmm. That's not what we mean by coexistence. Coexistence, happens in
really
Jerusalem.
rocking with each other, And I think, honestly, coexistence is it's good for optics because people who aren't living in reality want to see this. I have friends like that, artists. We want to all get along, because we originally connect off music, and music is like, if you're dope, you're dope. You know what I'm saying? And you can't just be based in activism. The thing is, I'm an artist that came into advocacy work based on how much I care about representing my Jewish identity through my art, right? And the idea of coexistence, it's like a beautiful story for everybody else, but the one it's really tough for is us. Like, what it feels like to go to a place and everyone's like walking by me openly, just snapping pictures of me, probably sending into groups, watch out for this guy, he's trouble. All he wants to do is cause trouble. What are you, cause trouble? Are you Palestinian? I'm Israeli. Aren't we supposed to Why is it everyone else and it's a bunch of other people. You ever talk to someone? It's a bunch of coworkers and bosses that are talking about wives, right? Mm-hmm. So you got, he works with me and don't date him and don't date that guy. And you're like, the only two people that aren't really talking are Israelis and Palestinians.
So what's a way you see out of it?
Doing very uncomfortable stuff like hanging out, getting a lunch together. I think food is a great connector. I think making videos is great. I think making hopeful content is awesome. I mean, you see that, oh my God, why did you give me $1. I'm going to give you $500. I mean, like all that stuff kind of uplifts people, gives people like hopeful stuff.
Sure.
Hopeful stuff is the reality. Hope isn't pretty, you know? The great way to do it is to get people to change, you know, slightly. Like me acknowledging the Nakba to people is like bananas to them. Like, okay, people got displaced.
Right.
People got displaced. Like this is a reality of war. So did every other area of that entire region. People were getting displaced.
Yeah,
and people are getting displaced all the time. Right now, there's hundreds of thousands of Israelis that are displaced from the north.
100%.
So they're refugees too. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know, that on some level, it's a really difficult thing. And you even have UN and UNRWA, 12 of their people were, now possibly 17, but 12 people were accused of being involved in October 7 massacres, right?
Oh, wow.
And
I mean,
it's not surprising to me,
unfortunately,
but to other people,
yeah,
they think it's a scam. You see what I'm saying? So you're like, you know, like I've been to court before, and I said I plead guilty. So I understand where it's like I have experience of saying, hey, it's my fault. I'm willing to like just go through with this and change. And change to people is devastating because their entire ecosystem is surrounded by that. So you have like the guys like Daniel Mate or Gabor Mate, and you know, and we get tokenized, right? So you have the Neturei Karta. They're the Jews of Saturday, and they're like, I can't speak in the microphone, but I'm like, okay, you guys are carrying signs, does that count? I mean, I'm not the one, but I'm not religious, so I'm not going to use that because I don't even think I need to do that.
Right.
And then you have. Well, they're like, okay, well, we got one black person, you know, and you're marching with BLM and we're marching with Palestine. And then the Israelis, we have, you know, our one cool Arab guy, and everyone becomes tokenized, and it just becomes an ecosystem of this. And for me, what I'm trying to do is sort of like figure out how like if you just take a step back and look at it and be like, man, this whole shit is just crazy, you know, just like an average person. And I'm hoping to find the funny in that, because the finding funny and laughing a little bit is a sense of relief and a sense of joy and just being like, damn, dude, we got a lot of work to do. As a society of like of just being nice to each other, you know. And I'm not saying that anyone's wrong. I'm just saying I feel, in fact, very just in being very pro-Israel, but I just find it very difficult for stuff to ever change. So I'm just gonna make stuff as an artist, you know, but ideally when you make things, this is my first time having an impact, I feel like, in my entire life.
Really?
People around Israel were stopping me in the street saying, I love you, thank you so much for changing my heart and just making me feel safe and making me feel empowered and it really means a lot to me. And
pro-Israel people?
Israelis, yeah.
Yeah, Israelis.
And, I mean, people are extremely, yeah, and very anti-Israel people and other people being like, I learned a lot from you. You know, I watch all these other people that are really but I learned a lot from you. And you know what? I respect the fact that you're always going hard for your shit, and you don't worry. You're not like, I'm not reposting other people's content.
Right.
I'm creating my own because I could stand on my experience. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I could stand on, oh, you know what? I fucked up. My bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get up and try again. But if you're not leaving the house and just sharing everyone else's stuff, I mean, why should I really respect your opinion, essentially?
Right, everyone's got different different strengths, so.
That's it. Like, it's just, the thing is, like, I'm outside in the street, whether I'm rapping or speaking to people or creative. So if you see me in the street and you see me at a thing, when I was at the rally, the Palestine rally, there were a bunch of Jews on the side. They're like, Kosha Dillz, I love all your TikToks. And I'm like interviewing these one people, and they're like, it was like pit bulls for Palestine or some shit. And I was just like, aesthetically, it looks cool. I'm going to say it has a nice ring to it. You know what I mean? I like the dog is cute. The dog has been nicer to me than anyone at the protest. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, yeah, pit bulls for Palestine. Dude, let's get our dogs together. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. You know, so, you know, I'm just exploring, man. It's like something new for me. It's like a whole new medium. I never done this, but one thing I do see is that people say, wow, you're so strong. I'm like, so courageous. Have you never, but then again, I've also come from addiction where I've had guns to my head. People have robbed me. People have pistol whipped my friends. You know, I've been involved in really dark, dangerous things from addiction.
Right. That's why I went here, because you were talking a lot about fears.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fears around money and fears around relationships and fears around direct communication.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought up Israel, because it's like, hey, in those, there's a fearlessness to it, the way it proceeds. But I guess your explanation is that, hey, that's been your life.
If I look at who's courageous, I have friends who were at the Nova Festival and people that followed me that were sending me stuff. And I thought to myself, this person, I need to do this. I'm performing for the soldiers. I'm raising money for Israel. I'm participating in events. I'm donating my time. Time is nothing. Like, it's just time. You know, we have it, and that's that. And I think the least I could do is go to a protest where I see so much horrible stuff happening and so much open anti-Semitism, right? I mean, open anti-Semitism.
Not anti-Israel, anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism, literally putting other Jews at risk to the point where other Jews denounce their own Jewishness, and they have to I will take on 30 people at one time. I'd rather get beaten just on broad daylight television, Channel 5, Channel 10. And I've seen other people get chased down, like outside by Grand Central. And I met the guy, Joey, I think his name is Joey Borg, and he was beaten down with a yarmulke, not with a yarmulke, he had a yarmulke, and he was beaten down and got hurt really bad. I'm like, dude, like I said, I've had my shit knocked out, my tooth knocked out, my head split open. I've been in jail. I got beat up in jail. So I'm not afraid of that. But what I'm more afraid of is us actually working everything out, and then everyone being like, okay, peace in the Middle East, now what? It would destroy everyone's life. It would destroy all identities. You know what I'm saying?
If there was peace.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It would just, everyone would be like, oh, we like each other now? Like, I guess.
Yeah,
everyone's happy?
I'm sure we'd figure something out. The Jews can fight with themselves then.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like I feel like there's a lot of homeless people in this political world, including myself. I'm not like a Republican or a Democrat or this and that. I'm just like, just want to do the right thing. And sticking up for your people is always the right thing. I think that, you know what I mean? And, my entire family's fought in IDF and OWARs, and,
cool.
So I'm like super proud of this is, I feel like that's like the least I could do, is make somebody laugh, make somebody happy. And, that's what creatives, we could do. Yeah, people see this and they're like, you know what? I'm going to go to a Palestinian restaurant, even though Palestinian, this guy, they probably hate Israel, but you know what? The food's good. So I just want to get something to eat.
Like that Larry David.
The Palestinian chicken.
Yeah.
That's it. Right. Just go get a piece of chicken and it's fine. You know what I mean? It's like nothing more than that in a sense. And a lot of people do respect me for my work ethic. So, when it comes to hustling, I'm sort of like number one.
Right. You're out there, you're working. You're putting a lot of stuff out there always.
Yeah. I got a song coming out tomorrow. I got tons of stuff.
What's your song coming out tomorrow?
Watermelon.
Watermelon?
Yeah. It's political.
Cool. What's it about?
Well, do you know about the watermelon?
Say more.
Palestinian watermelon. Like, it's the colors of Palestine.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Avatiach.
Yeah.
Or in Arabic, it's tiach. I guess it's a joke. I mean, it's a joke, So it's like, we'll give you all the land, but you have to give us the watermelon back.
Okay.
Do you think they would do it?
I don't think they would do it.
Exactly. So it is kind of funny. Because, I just want some watermelon.
Right.
Give us a watermelon.
Right. In the sense
So it's
of
just
peace.
kind of a thing. It's just like, dude, it's so ridiculous. And that's sort of, at one point, protest movements I really felt were like the move, anti-war. And now I don't know if they mean what they meant back in the 60s and 70s. And
right. That's actually changed the conversation.
marching for civil rights together, blacks and Jews. I mean, it's powerful for equal, when it said, there were signs that said, no dogs, no Jews, no blacks,
Right.
These signs existed in our own country.
So you don't know they have the ability to change the conversation or change.
Yeah, because now it's not changing a conversation. Now people are changing definitions based on their opinions. You know what I'm saying? So that is something that, like, you know, I'm just trying to navigate through. So, you know, it's just my thing, but there's a cup of tea for everybody, and it's like you could pick or choose your content. You're like, you know what, I like factual facts. I follow this girl, Roots Metals, like probably my favorite creator woman. She just really goes in depth with knowledge and like great infographics of just the Farhud, the Hebron massacre.
What's her name?
Roots Metals.
Roots Metals.
Amazing. Like
Awesome.
Amazing stuff.
So focused a lot on Israel.
Yeah, and like just like factual information. My stuff is like I'm making. I don't know what I'm getting today.
Right,
We're making stuff. We're going out there. We're trying to have conversations. We're gonna see. I don't know who's gonna be
Whatever
there.
happens.
Exactly. I don't know who I'm gonna talk to. Right. And the great thing is I don't know who's gonna reach out to me either. You know. So like someone tried to connect me for a Shabbat dinner. I said, this seems kind of fishy. A Palestinian restaurant's gonna do Shabbat dinner. I'm like, I don't know. Like that sounds odd, because one, if you're a Palestinian restaurant doing a Shabbat dinner for all Jews, then you're going to lose a lot of business via the BDS movement, right? Because if you're collaborating with me, then you're a collaborator, you know, and that's an unfortunate situation for many people. And I don't really want anyone to ruin their own business. Like, if you search for peace and want to take a stance, and then you're like going to ruin your entire family life, like maybe not, you know, maybe take care of your own situation first. But I'm like, to me, it's, as a Jewish person, it's not going to hurt me. Like, I don't mind having a meal with people. I've had meals with people that are pieces of trash in my life. I've had meals with bad people, and I found out they were bad afterward. At least I'm going in knowing that we don't agree. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And for me, that is dope. Like, the world, that doesn't exist anywhere. It's like, hey, I don't like you, you don't like me, let's sit.
Let's switch gears a little bit. You mentioned earlier about God shots, right? Or God shot.
Yeah.
Have there been other examples of that in your life?
God shots?
Yeah, it's kind of that obvious that, hey, you're getting a second chance. The way I understood it is the message you received was you're getting a second chance. Not many people would do something good with it.
That is the most obvious one, I would say. I think there were other moments that I was just blessed that people weren't there when I did something. You know, like from the age of 20 to 22, it was like, why didn't I get caught doing an armed robbery with my friend, you know? And why didn't that guy, he hit that person, but he didn't hit me with the gun? Or why did, you know, these like really life or death sort of situations. Why did I, you know, not end up.
How did you get mixed up in that world? Said he grew up.
Felt alone, fear that I would be okay without the approval of everybody else. You know, because I just want to be part of.
These
right?
were friends from school.
Friends. I mean, it became my life. Like, you know, getting high,
right?
Drugs, and that's it. You know.
You have siblings?
Mm-hmm.
They took a similar path?
No one took a similar path in my entire family.
So how did that happen?
Just not feeling like I was part of it, not feeling like I was good enough, you know, and you know, a lot of self-loathing, depression, feeling like I'm not worthy of, you know.
So through these moments of the God shot moment and the ones that maybe feel like it but not quite as big, is there a message or a purpose behind it, or something that you feel it's all moving towards?
Listen, I'd like to believe at the greater sense that, at least with these videos I've been doing about Israel, that, you know, you don't need to know every factual thing to talk. Like, I'm not a professor that has studied 20 years of Israel's antiquities and histories, but I know the basic facts, and I know more than the basic facts, and I, you know, love to speak Hebrew, even when I get things wrong, and it's definitely a language that makes you feel, you know, like you don't know enough if you're trying to communicate with someone, and as long as you have a heart and you're willing to go out there, you know, you could really show the reality that Jews are dealing with all around the world. And that was like my hope, you know what I mean, for me, you know what I mean, to give other people a sense of belonging, that I could speak up for other people that aren't willing to do that. And I'm like, well, this is what I do, you know?
So more than Israel, it sounds like from this conversation, like a bigger issue for you is anti-Semitism, meaning something that...
Yeah, I mean, anti-Semitism's obviously, you know, the core issue. But it's really hard to explain anti-Semitism when people don't even know, based on society, that is, you know, it's the only world that shames you for being successful when you actually come from nothing.
Which world is that?
Anti-Semitism. It's successful.
Right, exactly. Yes.
It's such a success in our world that although my mother came to America with holes in her sneakers, we would be shamed for actually having a house that's worth $750,000. You know, and it's fucking insane that I work in the music industry and someone would be like, oh, it's a Jew, you're not welcome in hip hop. Yeah, like people would still ask me for help. It's the only world where you're really, we live in this new society where if you have less, then you're right. And if you have more, you might not be worthy of ever earning it. You know, like my parents are immigrants, right? So it's like, why can't we came here for a better opportunity, you know? And for me, it's like I have to sort of bridge these worlds together, that it is. So for me, success in pop culture right now is the best thing. And success in pop culture looks like me just being a cool dude with having a lunch and be like, what's cool about Rami? Oh, he shows up. He don't give a fuck that people disagree with him. He still dresses fly. He still shows up. He still pays for the tab because he wants to. He's not, you know, and he doesn't really want anything. Like, this is awkward. This just challenges me. This guy is challenging what I have been trained to think. And, you know, for Jewish people, I'm on a black television. I'm on Wild 'N Out, you know what I mean? With other Israelis. We're the first people that have been on this show that are like, yo, we're Jews. And it's dope to be Jewish.
Which show?
Wild 'N Out.
Yeah.
And it was once, it's a huge platform. It's on BET. It's been around for over 20 seasons. And for me, for like my community, like it means a lot to them that we're in there, that you're going to be like a proud Jewish people could exist within a thing. And Michael Rappaport's a good example. And a lot of people might not like him for whatever reason, but like I'll tell you this, when I was in college, before I was in high school, people called me Ramadan, Muslim. Mm-hmm. When people said, Rami, what's your name? Where are you from? I already knew how they stood politically and what they thought about Jews, because Rami is a Palestinian name, it's a Lebanese name, it's an Egyptian name. So I already know that thing I'm going to go on. When I was a freshman, people would call me Remy instead of Rami. Remy from Higher Learning was probably one of the most popular movies, and he was one of the most popular characters, and Remy was a Nazi. So I became Kosha Dillz as like, hey, I'm a Jew, now you deal with it, and it's your issue now. And then I became successful as Kosha Dillz, and then Jewish people thought that was cool because Kosha Dillz was being talked about by non-Jewish people. And what I've dealt with is that people have judged me my whole life for who I am. So you're not going to tell me that I can't go to your thing and ask you questions, and because people have judged me from the gate.
Well, you're saying you could have kind of blended into the world without saying you were Jewish.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. And I thought it's more important to blend into the world saying, I'm a proud Jew, and I'm also make great songs. I'm a proud Jew, but I also have a song that's number one Super Bowl commercial. It has nothing to do with anything about being Jewish. I'm a proud Jew, and I also recorded 50 songs, and I have a Billboard charting album, and it's plenty of non-Jewish people love me. And what they say is they fuck with me because of who I am as a person. And, you know, that is such a high ground to enter into a conversation about conflict and war. And you need people like me to be out there that aren't just in the activist world or Jewish world. It's like, I got a life outside of this, dude. This is just something I've chosen to do because I think it's important. And I also really, really, really like I don't know, I've always kind of liked trying to fix a conflict. Like, yo, you don't like me? It's fine, dude. Like, I used to live with someone, you know, who stole from me, right? So if you're living and be nice to my face, at least this is like, so this is fine because it's honest. Right. And where we're at right now is that people don't believe each other. People are afraid, and that's okay. So I'll show up. You don't like me so much. I've been to many places where people don't like me.
Yeah, I think proud Jews make the world safer.
That's it. It's a great way, you know, and everyone plays their part, you know, it's like this, that, and, you know, like everyone's coming out of this war eventually, and we're going to have new Jewish friends and new this, and I'll figure it out, man. But like, I think I'm doing the right thing, trying, and a lot of people seem to like my efforts.
Yeah, it's definitely connecting with a lot of people.
Yeah, and if a family, what it's mostly about is the hostages and bringing the hostages home for me.
What's that song? Sing that song.
Bring the family home. We got the world saying, cry to death that can't sleep. It's the worst pain. I remember tonight, the night the world changed. The line just roared. Y'all heard me. I wrote that on October 7th. If a family from hostages, a family member say, "Yo, I really love that song. I really love the videos that you're making. It made me, you know, laugh, or it was silly and stupid, and love how you put the music in there and you made your own little." They say that. No one else's opinion matters, because if it wasn't for the hostages, we wouldn't be in this situation anyway. You know, not in this specific situation. We would be in another situation, but we wouldn't be in this situation.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm okay with knowing that, and I stand on it. That's why I say, "Hey, I'm Kosha Dillz." I don't say, "Hey, I'm John." I'm not here as a Mossad agent. I'm here wide in the open, and you could, you know, hit me up anytime.
All right, respect. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.